That is an enormous cost. It's about 50 billion, but it's also very imaginative. As we all know...
What is that? Sorry, imaginative. What do you mean by that?
But it's not the kind of thinking you get from the others, because, because they stick with orthodoxy. One of the big problems we've got is we have more and more people, young people too, living off welfare. And it's costing us over £100 billion a year. What we want to do, and there's a trap here, you see. You're on benefits, you go back to work, you work more than 16 hours a week, the tax kicks in, you may as well stay on benefits. There is a terrible trap.
So hence the rationale to raise the tax threshold.
Absolutely.
Nigel Farage walked into the BBC studio, and from the very first moments, it was clear that the presenters had a singular objective. They weren't there for a friendly chat. Their mission was to intimidate him, provoke a mistake, and make him appear unfavorable. But here's the remarkable part: he didn't just stand his ground, he took complete control of the situation. To every question they posed, whether intended to trap or confuse him, he responded with clarity and precision. There were no vague statements or political jargon, just the hard facts straight from Farage himself. It felt like watching a master at work while his critics struggled to keep pace.
However, since the pandemic, a growing number of young people are saying they've got all sorts of psychological problems, but they're also not incentivized to go to work. We want to get people back to work.
I understand that. So the 50 billion, where will that money come from?
A lot of it will come from the racket that is going on. The government has been creating money, particularly during the pandemic. That money goes into the system, it goes into banks, the banks lodge it with the Bank of England, the Bank of England pay them interest on it. It's a racket, it's a racket. Well, and an increasing number of economists and academics say that alone could save between 35 and 40 billion pounds a year.
So, opinion polls are beginning to reveal an exciting shift. The Reformist Party's rating in the UK is soaring, and in some areas they are even surpassing the Labour Party. This isn't just about dissatisfaction with the old parties, it's a genuine revolution, with Nigel Farage at its forefront. His message strikes a chord with those who feel let down by the current political class, creating a powerful resonance. Farage's vision as a leader is no longer a distant aspiration, it is evolving into a tangible reality. His clear and bold stances on key issues, particularly immigration and national reform, are gaining traction among a disillusioned electorate. He serves as a voice of reason in a chaotic political landscape, and with every interview, rally and political statement, the notion of Farage becoming Prime Minister is increasingly seen not as a sensational idea but as a genuine possibility. If this momentum continues, he won't just lead the movement, he could very well become the head of government. And the existing parties may find themselves completely unprepared for such a dramatic shift.
I wasn't in charge. If I'd been given responsibility for making Brexit happen, it would have been very different.
But that's an easy get-out. That's a bit like where you are now in Reform, where you're saying, I'm not in charge.
In 2019, right, in the general election, I stood aside in over 300 seats to give Boris Johnson a free run, to get Brexit over the line and to deliver the promises that he made. The reason on migration that Brexit has failed in the eyes of many people is because the Conservative Party haven't delivered. But be in no doubt, we are in charge of these things. Brexit gives us self-government. That doesn't guarantee success, but it does mean we're in charge.
Here's the interesting part: the more pressure they applied, the calmer he appeared. The harder they tried to provoke him, the more confident his responses became. There was no hesitation, no wandering off topic, just clear, well-considered statements. By the end of the program, their efforts to make him look foolish had completely backfired. The audience couldn't help but notice his unwavering demeanor. This moment prompted people to wonder, could there be the kind of leadership that the country truly needs? Let's be honest, in the realm of political intrigue, someone who can handle this level of pressure with such ease is a rare find, and that draws a lot of attention. Nigel Farage doesn't just excel in interviews, he captures the hearts and minds of the public. The Reform UK party, which he leads, is rapidly gaining traction. And this isn't just talk. The membership numbers are skyrocketing, with some reports suggesting they have even surpassed the Conservatives.
And that, we've spoken to the IFS, or taken a look at the IFS, looking at your proposals for changing the Bank of England's function. And that is a very difficult and long process. That is very technical. That would not happen immediately.
Well, no other central bank in the world does this. This is a complete racket with the banks. And interestingly, you know, Paul Tucker, a former Deputy Governor of the Bank of England, fully endorses our plan, as do a growing number of economists. But look, I'm going to launch, and by the way, I won't call it a manifesto, because the word association with manifesto is lie. I'm going to launch our contract on Monday, where I'll lay out all of the costings of our plans, All I can tell you is what we're doing is bold and imaginative.
When Nigel Farage faced off with Nigel Farage live on air, it was clear she had come well prepared, eager to challenge him and pose tough questions. But Farage, he was more than ready for the encounter. Right from the start, he answered every question with clarity, skillfully deflecting any attempts to trap him. It wasn't just the content of his responses, but the manner in which he delivered them, calm, composed, and exuding remarkable confidence. The dynamic soon shifted. Munchetti attempted to catch him off guard with immigration statistics, questioning the credibility of his sources. However, instead of retreating, Farage intensified his stance, calmly articulating his position and refusing to back down. By the end of the interview, her frustration was evident. It wasn't just Farage's quick responses that impressed, it was his steadfast resilience that left everyone thoroughly impressed.
And you must recognise this, given what you previously said about how few MPs, even you, think you will get relative to the Parliament. It could be a big jump for you as a party, but relative to the Parliament.
Well, we'll see.
It gives you a freedom to say stuff, doesn't it? That you're not going to have to back this up and say, we couldn't do it.
What I'm saying is this. We have a Labour Party that's won already. The election is over. We all know that. Your viewers all know that. Their thinking on economics, on all of the key issues of our lives, is actually remarkably similar to the Conservative Party. I'm arguing that for democracy to work, governments need to be challenged. And
Let's discuss immigration. While many politicians avoid this crucial issue or simply overlook the facts, Farage boldly steps up, ready to confront it head-on. He doesn't just highlight the problems, he supports his claims with solid data, making his approach truly distinctive. In a political landscape where candor has become increasingly rare, this kind of bravery captures attention and instills confidence in those seeking a genuine leader for their country. But it's not just his political stance, it's his approach and communication style. Farage speaks in a way that conveys sincerity in every word. People may not always agree with his views, but they certainly grasp his position. This is why he has emerged as a trusted figure, particularly among those weary of the empty promises from mainstream parties. His supporters see him not as just another politician, but as someone who genuinely cares about their struggles, a person who earnestly seeks to mend what is broken. This is why he actively engages with voters across a spectrum of opinions, from dedicated Conservatives to disillusioned Labour supporters. His ability to connect with people and listen to their concerns makes him a true voice of the public.
A far better position to do that than either Ed Davey from the Lib Dems, and Rishi Sunak won't be there, but the Tories are so divided, they don't stand for anything. This is about, look, we are completely in the grip of big corporate businesses. That's who the politicians listen to. I know that from 20 years in the European Parliament. There are 5.5 million people out there, men and women, running small businesses, acting as sole traders, that frankly are having the most difficult time. I'm on their side and I'll fight for them.
Farage doesn't merely propose ideas, he presents a compelling vision. And for a country eager for change, it's becoming increasingly hard to overlook his message. In his BBC interview, Nigel Farage spoke boldly, unafraid to address the issues that truly matter to people. He referenced statistics that had the audience holding their breath with every moment a migrant crossed the UK border. This served as a wake-up call for Nigel Farage, who quickly accused Farage of exaggeration or even outright deceit. Yet, as always, Farage remained unfazed, refusing to buckle under pressure. He confidently reiterated his stance, backing it up with government data and reports that reinforced his arguments. This wasn't just a heated debate, it was a genuine clash of perspectives, filled with tension and emotion. Farage labeled the situation an urgent national issue, while Munchetti questioned the reliability of the figures and the motives behind his statements. This confrontation vividly illustrated how crucial these topics are to society and how deeply people care about them.
The front page of Reform website, as it stands, and I know it's not a manifesto at this stage, I'm not quite sure, do you call it a pledge? I can't remember.
No, a contract.
A contract.
This is what we will campaign
The contract, it says you'll set out your reforms in the first 100 days, is what it says. And you then go to say it's produced with advice from independent economists, think tanks and advisors. And a moment ago you said you're not about conformity. That just sounds like everybody else. Every other political party would say, we talk to independent advisors, we talk to think tanks. You just sound like everyone else.
I've been called many things over the years, but not like everybody else.
Well, no, I'm quoting from from Reform. That's what you said. It doesn't sound radical. That just sounds like you do the same as other people. You talk to think tanks.
I've just outlined some very radical proposals. Equally, we don't think anybody should pay inheritance tax until the estate is worth £2 million. We want to lift the VAT threshold to help small businesses. I promise you, what's coming on Monday is very, very different.
The audience couldn't help but notice the dramatic shift in atmosphere. What began as a casual conversation quickly transformed into an exhilarating masterclass in handling pressure. Farage didn't just respond to questions, he took complete command of dialogue. Everything changed in an instant. Munchetti appeared visibly anxious while the audience looked on in astonishment. This was more than just another interview, it was a striking moment that clearly illustrated why Farage's popularity is on the rise. He doesn't merely defend his viewpoint, he dominates the conversation. And it's this skill that prompts people to seriously consider his potential as a leader. Farage possesses a remarkable quality that distinguishes him from most politicians. He communicates in a straightforward and direct manner without unnecessary embellishments. He doesn't sugarcoat issues or hide behind political jargon. Whether discussing immigration, national security, or economic reform, he consistently focuses on what he believes Britain truly needs. His authenticity and determination inspire admiration and trust, making him a voice that simply cannot be ignored. See you later.